Welcome, everyone. I am so grateful that we have so many people on this call today, and even more grateful that we have an amazing speaker. And I have not even had the pleasure to listen to Carrie yet. Carrie Leibich is in the US, and her story is really quite fantastic, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. But first, I want to share just a little bit about her. First of all, I heard about her because a few people from our team heard her speak on a summit, and they were raving and raving about her and how amazing she was. And so I reached out to her and asked if she would speak to our team, and she said yes, she would. So I'm honored that she came. She's an award-winning author, a mom of 8 children, and she's going to be talking about how she overcame some mental health issues with one of her children. So if you have a child in your life with any kind of mental health issue, ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, seriously, you guys are going to learn so much. So she's going to be sharing a lot of what she did on her journey. And I hope that Carrie hopes that this will bring hope to anyone who is struggling in any situation like that. So with that, I am going to hand the reins over to Carrie. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Give me thumbs up or say hello in the chat. Fantastic. You guys, I am so excited to be here. To see this many people, I'm overwhelmed. It's been so long since I've stood on stage and seen a huge crowd. This is awesome. And my passion for children with mental health issues is just ginormous. As she said, it's Allie, right? Did I say that right? Okay. We're learning each other's names since we just met each other today. Anyways, I have 8 children. My oldest is 18. He just turned 18, but my firstborn child had a serious and significant mental health issue, and it happened right after his vaccines. I'm not even going to get into that topic. I know it's taboo, but it happened for me. And from that moment on, he went from the happiest baby ever to a screaming, raging child who he had fits of rage that would last sometimes 45 minutes. He would claw at his face until he drew blood. He would throw things and throw bricks at his sister's head and think that was funny. And it was a nightmare. I couldn't leave the house because he was such a wild card. My husband and I used to say it's like walking on eggshells. You never knew what was going to set him off. I could walk in the room and go, "Hey buddy, I made your favorite cookie." Full blown rage. Sometimes I'm like, "Hey buddy, it's time to go clean our room." "Oh, okay, mom." It was so random and it was so frustrating raising him as a child. And I didn't even think things could get worse, but they did. And by the time he was 4 years old, they started medicating him because the doctor said, "Hey, he's got a chemical imbalance." And I'm thinking, "Oh, great. We know what it is. There's a chemical imbalance. What chemical's out of balance?" And they said, "We don't know. Our protocol is just throw medication at him and hope one of them sticks." Okay. So we did that. By the time he was 6, he was being medicated as if he was a 300-pound male. 6 years old. He was maybe 65 pounds. Did not do anything. They eventually put him, we agreed, the doctors and I agreed, that he needed to go into a mental health institute. He was too much of a danger to himself. So they put him at 6 years old in a mental health institute on maximum security lockdown, where there was one attendant and my son at all times. He was never to be left alone, ever, not even to go to the bathroom, not even for sleeping. And he still caused himself harm. He was such a danger to himself. During that stay, they accidentally over-medicated him and ended up having to ship him to an actual ER hospital where they rapidly tried to detox his body, which is not very effective in the Western medicine field. and things kind of got worse from there. And I kept going, is it ever going to get better? And the answer was yes. But the way it got better is going to absolutely make you go, "What? My daughter almost died." And most people are like, "Wait a minute, how is that better?" She almost died. She was 8 months old. She got a fever. By this time, she's child number 5. Y'all are thinking I'm crazy by now by having this many kids because I still have a son who's seriously mentally ill. But I did. Child number 5, 8 months old. She almost died. She had a high fever over 103.7. And for those of you out of country, I do not even know how to translate that. So I hope that kind of makes sense for y'all. But it was a super high fever in an infant, okay? And we couldn't bring it down. So she had this high fever for, 1 week, 2 weeks, eventually a full month of over 103.7 fever. She was in and out of hospitals. Eventually she was inpatiented in a hospital, then eventually medevaced across, we call it the pond because it was from Alaska to Seattle, where she was hospitalized there. And the best doctors on the planet could not figure out what was wrong with her, and she was dying. And they said, sorry, ma'am, there's nothing more we can do. We need to just send her home to die. I'm sorry. We've done everything, because they tested her for everything that the United States has seen. And then they started testing her for every disease that other countries have seen. Nothing came back positive, nothing. So all the organs were just shutting down. And at that point, when I got home, a friend of mine said, hey, I've got these essential oils. You want to try them? I'm like, if it's cat pee and it helps her, I will try anything. So we did. We started using the essential oils on her. Her body was racked with pain. She was in so much pain, she couldn't even lift her eyes to look at me. That's how much pain she was in. Super high fever. We started putting Copaiba on the bottom of her feet. And after the first time of putting Copaiba on the bottom of her feet, she moved. First time in a month, she moved. She eventually rolled over at the end of the day. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is this stuff? This is incredible, right? Well, unfortunately, every single week she had a blood draw test and her body was still shutting down. And so as wonderful as it was, she looked great. She looked like she felt great, but all the systems were just shutting down. And I cried out to God going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. They want to give her an intravenous steroids. And they gave me this big stack of paperwork. And at the very back of the paperwork, it said, may cause death. And please sign here acknowledging that the stuff we're going to give her will probably kill her. And I'm like, I can't do it, God, I can't. So I didn't. Bill and I said, we don't have peace with that. We decided not to do that. We pulled her out of the hospital situation and we just prayed. And at that day, I looked up and I saw this bottle of Immupower. It's an essential oil blend. And I'm like, I wonder what that does. Because I got it for free. You know how you get your free oils every month from Young Living, right? I'm like, I wonder what that is. So the book said, it boosts your immune system. So here they were trying to suppress her immune system because it was overworking and trying to kill her. And I'm like, well, that wasn't working. Let's try this. So I started putting Immupower on the bottom of her feet. And sure enough, she lived. So much so that when they did the next blood draw, the doctor called crying. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going to die. This is it. It's over. She's like, Carrie, I don't know what's going on. But this is the healthiest blood I've ever seen in an infant in my entire years of being a doctor. I don't know what happened. She went from death to life in 1 week. And I'm like, yay! And so we had this massive party and I hit my knees and I'm praising the Lord. Everything was amazing. And then I said, if this can cure a baby, what can it do for my son who's now 10 years old? He's in our home. He's still just as dangerous. He's still just as medicated. My life was still just as hell. It was horrible for both of us. So that's my story. Guess what? There's hope for mental health issues because when I took the information of, I can do this, I'm enough. I can absolutely figure out, if I can figure out what happened, I got lucky with my daughter, but if I can figure out what happened, how to heal my daughter, I can figure out how to heal my son. All I got to do is dig deep. And the thing about Western medicine doctors, at least here in the United States, is they kind of just treat symptoms. But they don't go to the root cause. What's causing the problem? So how I'm going to address my topic today, I'm going to give you my 6 best tips for overcoming a mental health issue. And towards the end, we're going to get to the root cause. But because a lot of you said, hey, I've got a kiddo, with a mental health issue, I'm going to tell you how to put out the fire first. Because if I had to do it all over again, I would do things a little differently. The first thing I needed back then, I need someone to pull hard on that e-brake. I was spiraling out of control. My son was spiraling out of control. We were like headed right for the ground, maximum speed. And so to put out the fire and just to stop the madness, I would use frankincense. Frankincense essential oil saves lives. It is the best essential oil single there is for anything mental health. I don't care if you have depression. I don't care if you have anxiety. I don't care if you're schizophrenic. I don't care if you have, it does not matter. Fill in the blank. Frankincense. Now I've used all of the oils Young Living has. Every single one I've tried. They're all amazing. However, have you guys ever experienced, like, you talk to a friend, you're like, oh gosh, you got to try the lavender. It's amazing for sleep. Like, yeah, it didn't help me. I kind of felt like more energized. Eek, you have the opposite reaction. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Not with frankincense. I have never, in all the times I've oiled so many hundreds of kids with frankincense, it has always been extremely calming, extremely uplifting, meaning like if you're depressed, it lifts your mood. I'm allowed to be non-compliant, right? Right? Okay, good. I'm like, yeah, I'm saying a lot of things I probably shouldn't be. Okay, so it lifts your mood. and at the end of the day, it just starts to change. It changes the attitude and change. Oops, somebody asked me a question. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, so it's the first thing I do. Okay. So let me tell you a story about frankincense. When my son is full blown raging, he used to do this all the time. Thank the Lord he doesn't do this anymore. But when he was full blown raging, the way that we fixed full blown rage is my husband would take the cousin sacred frank and put it on his 2 fingers right here. And then as my son's full blown raging, he'd come up behind him and go right up his nose. Within seconds, he chilled. Now, he was still irritable. He was still angry, but nobody was getting hurt. Not him and not anybody else. It was huge. We have used sacred frankincense to stop full blown rage so many times. I could write an entire book just on that. It's amazing. Frankincense is wonderful too, but sacred frankincense for stop and rage is incredible. So the other thing that I've done is we used to live in Alaska where the sun would go down below the horizon and never come back up for the entire winter. So very dark days. Have you ever heard of seasonal affective disorder at SAD? To combat that, I would use a capsule of frankincense and lemon. People like, how many drops? Doesn't matter. Fill the capsule of frank, fill a capsule of lemon, or fill it half and half. Doesn't matter. Do that every couple hours and you will find, I call it liquid sunshine. I love it. I just take a couple capsules of those throughout the day and my depression is gone and doesn't come back for weeks, sometimes months. It's awesome. In fact, I haven't had depression so long, I can't even remember last time I took a liquid sunshine capsule, but it works really well. So then I get, can you put that in a roll ball? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you've got a kiddo who can't swallow a capsule, you absolutely can. You're going to have to use a little bit more often and probably, a little bit more liberally, because I personally think the capsules are super effective and very, very fast. The most I've ever had to take is 4 capsules. And all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I feel fantastic. I don't have that depression. And I have spiraled into depression multiple times in my life. So I do have experience with that, to the point, I don't know if there's children here, but to the point I was thinking thoughts I should not be thinking. Okay. And I've stopped those thoughts and those, any sign of depression with those capsules. And like I said, the most I've ever had to take is like 4 in a day and boom, gone. Love, love, love what I call liquid sunshine. So that's my e-brake. Okay. Pull the e-brake, stop the madness. Let's just get mom and kid to a point where we can think clearly and have some joy again, right? So my second tip is for putting out the fire is CBD. And I don't know if you guys can get CBD where you are, but I'm going to tell you about it. Young Living has the most amazing CBD on the planet. I was one of those moms like, I'm not using CBD. I'm not getting my kid high. That was me until I started researching it. And I did not realize, and now I do, but I didn't realize then that we all have an endocannabinoid system. We all make cannabinoids in our bodies right now, and we can become deficient. In fact, most people are very, very deficient. So when we take CBD, especially ours, which is not full spectrum, what do they call it? It doesn't matter. Anyways, where they infuse it with the essential oils, but it doesn't get you high. That stuff, it's amazing. It works so well. When I gave that to my son, it was like the missing puzzle piece. You know how autism, it has that little puzzle piece out? This put that puzzle piece back in. So by the time he's 10, he was diagnosed, well, when he was 4, he was diagnosed with bipolar, mental hospital. By the time he was 10, he was diagnosed with autism. When he went into the mental hospital, the doctor said to me, do you realize he's ADHD? And I'm like, no one's ever told me that. Okay, because I thought he was just bipolar. Okay, great. We've got another diagnosis. Wonderful. Add it to the chart. He said, well, he's not just ADHD. He's actually the most extreme case of ADHD we've ever documented in San Antonio Mental Hospital. That's something to write home about, right? Oh my goodness. Great. So now I've got a 4-year-old who's bipolar, a 6-year-old who's bipolar, and he's the most extreme case of ADHD. And then why not just throw in autism for kicks and giggles, right? So when I first started using CBD and it put that last puzzle piece back into place, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. My son, before then, could never make eye contact with me. He's a verbal autistic kid, but he couldn't make eye contact with me. He could not have social reciprocity. If I spoke to him, it was if it went right over his head. If he spoke to me, he certainly wasn't speaking to me. It was like he's speaking to something behind me. It was never this give and take in a relationship until CBD. So much so that day, the first day I gave him CBD, he said, Mom, I love you, and looked me in the eyes. I was floored. I'm like, okay, that must have been a fluke, right? Okay, so he's, 16 years old. It's the first time he's ever said he loved me. It's just a fluke, right? No. It continued. It continued to get better. Every single time I gave him CBD, which was I think I gave him 2 droppers in the morning and 2 droppers at night with 500 milligrams. It got better. By the end of the week, he stopped plowing into me. Anybody who has an autistic kid knows exactly what I'm talking about. They just run right into you and keep on going. They have no clue that they just hit you. You're up against a wall and they have no idea that they just plowed right into you. That stopped completely too. I'm like, what? This stuff is amazing. It was incredible. So CBD is absolutely my top second pick for just put out the fire. Can we all just normalize? Even if you just did those 2, your mental health is going to improve so much. And I don't care what diagnosis you have. It doesn't matter. The most extreme case of mental health, they usually say, is schizophrenia. Even schizophrenia gets relief with just those 2 things. So I want to real quick go how we use CBD. We would do 2 droppers in the morning, 2 droppers at night for 500 milligrams. And I did that for 4 weeks. And that's to build up, into your system. Start to actually supplement your body with what it needs. At the end of 4 weeks, we reevaluated and decided, you know what? It got really good. Can we get better? And so we went up to 1,000 milligrams and did 2 droppers in the morning, 2 droppers at night. And every once in a while, we'd add in a 3rd dropper if he needed it. Like he was just having a rough day. But other than that, that's all we did. Now he did that for a full year. Now he only takes it as needed. It's literally, I'm feeling a little, anxiety or a little edgy. I'm going to take some CBD. He doesn't do it every day anymore because he healed his body by giving his body the supplement he needed. And he definitely needed that. So I hope that encouraged you. Okay. Step 3, the measuring stick for all mental health issues is how well you're sleeping. Write that down. I'm going to take a sip real quick. Okay. So the first thing the doctor would ask every time we walked into his office, how well is Ezekiel sleeping? He wasn't. The most he ever slept was 3 hours a night. Bill and I would take turns watching him in the middle of the night to make sure he didn't get up and harm himself or harm somebody else. And on the nights that we fell asleep watching him, he would sneak out of his room and do things he ought not to. One time we caught him making a gallon of oatmeal on my fiery, with fire stove. We had oatmeal for 2 weeks that day. It was funny now because nobody died. But back then I was terrified because he was, I don't know, maybe 9 years old, 8 years old. 8 years old should not be making a gallon of oatmeal at midnight. It just shouldn't happen, but it did. Okay. So he was a danger to himself in the middle of the night because he just didn't sleep. And that's how we measured how well he was doing with his mental health issue. Was he getting better? Was he getting worse? The worse you sleep, the worse it's going to get. Now it's curious to know, is it the lack of sleep that's causing the mental health issue, or is it the mental health issue that just causes you not to sleep? Quite honestly, chicken or egg, which came first? I don't know. I don't even think it matters. But the point is, I don't care what mental health condition you have. I think we all can agree, whether you have anxiety, depression, autism, ADHD, you aren't sleeping well. Even if you're fully depressed and you sleep 20 out of 24 hours, you're not sleeping well, or you wouldn't be sleeping 20 hours, right? So sleep is the measuring stick for all mental health issues. How well are you sleeping? So now that we put out the fire with Frank and CBD, let's get you sleeping really, really good, because now we're starting to actually go to the core and heal at the root cause. Okay. So, we have 2 supplements that I absolutely love. Actually, now we have 3 because Unwind just came out at convention. That stuff's amazing. It's got a ton of magnesium in it. Y'all, most people, like 80% of the entire population all over the world, is deficient in magnesium. You can't just go to the store, you can't just go to the doctor and get a test for magnesium. A simple blood test, if you have magnesium in your blood, it's because more than likely you were stressed, and the stress leached the magnesium from your bones into your bloodstream. So you don't even want to see magnesium in a blood draw. You store your magnesium in your bones. That's where most of it's stored. And you can't test for that easily. But most people are seriously and significantly deficient in magnesium. So Unwind with its magnesium is phenomenal. MegaCal, phenomenal. So the top 2 supplements, though, before Unwind came out, we used was Sleep Essence. My son loves that, a little soft gel. He thinks that's amazing. It's got, I think it's a vetiver and valerian in it and a couple others. That stuff's incredible. And then as a hack, I would use ImmuPro. ImmuPro is a supplement for boosting your immune system, but it's got melatonin in there. And I would crack it into 4s, and I'd give my kids a 4th of it, knocked them out. I loved it. So we would used to use ImmuPro And now I give my kids Unwind. It doesn't matter. They're sleeping like babies, and that's all that matters. But you know what? CBD is really good for sleep too. So that might correct your sleep as well. But those are the supplements that we use. As far as essential oils that we use, any of the calming oils, perfectly honest, one of my son's favorites was Rutavala. Now remember, this kid didn't sleep, and this was before CBD, and this was before a lot of the healing that we did. At that time, he was still heavily medicated, and Rutavala was his oil for helping him get to sleep. I have to say, I think Gary even told us once that Rutavala was specifically designed for bipolar. And I went, I gotta have this oil. So I would highly recommend, if you're having a really difficult time sleeping, use Rutavala. And if Rutavala ever goes out of stock, I personally think Palo Santo is a good second. So those two oils are phenomenal for just helping you get to sleep. Some other oils that I want to bring to your attention: Stress Away. And I don't know why I keep talking about this in my talks these days, but it seems to always help like 25% of the people in the room. So think about that. Most of the time we use Stress Away during the day, but I'm sure many of you guys have just been so stressed out, you've had trouble getting to sleep. Try your Stress Away at night. Try it in a diffuser. Try it rubbing it all over your body, whatever. Just relax. If you can get yourself to a relaxed state, more than likely you're going to fall asleep unless your body's deficient in vitamins and minerals, and we're going to work on that in step 5 or something like that. Okay. Obviously lavender, frankincense, cedarwood. Cedarwood's a good one. Cedarwood actually stimulates your pineal gland, which will create in your body melatonin. So I highly recommend you use cedarwood anyways. We put it in the diffuser with orange oil or tangerine, and that is a super cheap diffuser recipe. I love it. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about, step 4, and that is focus. Again, it doesn't matter what mental health issue you have, focus is going to be difficulty, whether you're having anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism. So let's talk about that. Remember, I told you my kiddo was the most extreme case of ADHD, so I have a little bit of experience in this. Back when we were just starting out with oils, and I hadn't really tried anything on him, it was like my first order came in. I had read a study that vetiver was fantastic for ADHD. I'm like, okay, let's get it. Let's give it a try. We put 1 drop on the back. Maybe I put like 2 drops in the back of his neck. And for the first time, he went from going from activity to activity every 5 minutes, because he was an ultra rapid cycler for bipolar, which means every 20 minutes he would cycle between mania and depression. That's fun. So anyways, because he would cycle so quickly, he didn't stay focused at all. But vetiver, the first time I used it, he stayed focused on a task for 20 minutes. Now 20 minutes is like, that is nothing, Carrie. I got a shower. That is something. That is a big something in my home. And then the more we used it, the longer that stretch of focus was for him. He can put vetiver on and stay focused hours now. Back then, when we were still healing his body and he was still heavily medicated, we got up to about an hour, which for me, that was a godsend. I will take it. So I really like vetiver. I also like cedarwood for focus. And we used to make a rollerball blend of vetiver, cedarwood, and lavender, and just a little bit of carrier oil. That was fantastic for focus. Really great for just calming him down and helping him stay focused and attentive during his schooling, during instruction, or even just calming down for bed. So I really like the combination of those 3 as well. And then I got to tell you a story about common sense. This story cracks me up. So I saw the name. I'm like, I got to get this oil. Everybody needs common sense. I mean, just like everybody does. So it comes in the mail, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Let me stick it in the diffuser and put it right next to my son, who is at this time with vetiver on his neck, sitting there calmly reading a book. I'm like, this is great. So he's sitting there reading a book, got the diffuser going next to him. About 30 minutes later, I walk in the room. I'm like, hey, buddy, it's time to put your laundry away. He's like 10, okay? He goes, okay. I'm jaw to the floor. He just agreed to do chores. And then we were still walking on eggshells back then too. And so he takes the basket of laundry, heads upstairs, closes the door. 30 minutes pass. I hear nothing. You know, that's like danger zone, right? So my husband's walking past his door. I said, babe, can you just check on Ezekiel? I don't think he's up to any good right now. I told him to put away his laundry, and I'm pretty sure he's disobeying. So he opens the door, he looks in, and like nothing. He doesn't say anything. He just closes the door, and he looks down the stairs. He goes, you need to come here. I'm like, all right. Up the stairs I go. I open the door. I look in. Nothing. I don't say anything. I just close the door. Then Bill and I stare at each other for like 2 minutes. What just happened? My son had completely cleaned his absolutely terrible room. Hey, it was horrible. Clothes were everywhere. You know, just absolute pigsty. Smelled bad. Everything was disgusting. He had bagged up all the trash. He'd put away all of his laundry. He had made his bed military style. He'd cleaned out his closet. He cleaned out underneath his bed. He was currently working on his dresser drawers, folding and matching all of his socks, rolling them up nice and tight and sticking them back in the drawer and then closing the drawers. That's what I saw after diffusing common sense for half an hour. Y'all, that's on like rapid order on my order. We don't ever run out of common sense. I've been known to put that in the diffuser and just sneak it into the garage when my husband's cleaning the garage or just working on a project. You'd be amazed how much he gets done when I put common sense in there and how clean his garage looks just because I diffused. Well, he's like, I'm going to go tinker in the garage. Yes, you are. Take this with you. I love common sense. So between vetiver and common sense and any other oil that helps you focus, peppermint, there are so many good focus oils. It's incredible. I highly find the combination that works for you, works for your kiddo. What works for you may not work for me and vice versa, but you're going to find something that just helps turn your brain on. Another one that I absolutely love in my home is lemongrass. I like to put lemongrass in the diffuser and then just tell the kids like 20 minutes later after they've really soaked it in for a little bit, hey, everybody, it's time to clean the house. They can clean a lot faster on lemongrass and they declutter. I don't need this anymore and they throw it away. Oh, lemongrass is good for decluttering time. Okay, so that's focus, getting stuff done. I love getting stuff done. Hold on, I'm talking a lot here. Okay, what are we on? Step 4? 2, 3, 4. Step 5, emotions. This is probably my favorite topic. How are we doing on time? Hey, we're good. Okay. Emotions are energy in motion. Write that down. Energy in motion. When you're passing by somebody, you're like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, I'm fine. And you keep going, right? They just said, I'm fine. And you can just feel they're not fine. You just know that that was a bunch of baloney. They were totally blowing smoke right this then. They had no intention of telling you the truth. They just gave you words, right? How many times have you done that to your kid? How you doing, buddy? How you doing, kid? Fine. And you're like, you're not fine. Energy in motion. You've seen the electrodes they put on the brain and they can register how much activity your brain is doing. If you did that to your heart, it usually comes out to about 6 inches to a foot for your brain activity. But if you put that same electrode over your heart, you can feel the heart energy up to 3 feet away in all directions, which is why when somebody walks into a room, you're like, I got some bad vibes about you. That's what you're feeling. You're feeling their heart energy. So emotion is energy and motion, and you can feel it. The higher your frequency, the more positive your emotion. The lower your frequency, the more negative your emotions are. That's why we use essential oils and why we use them constantly. All of them raise your frequency. Don't ever stop using essential oils. Keep applying. Keep applying. So you want to make sure your frequency stays high. When you have positive, happy emotions, happy thoughts, you can't be depressed. You can't be full of anxiety. Okay. There's something called the illusory truth effect. And that basically means your mind cannot determine the difference between a truth and a lie. It's called the illusionary truth effect. You cannot determine the difference between a truth and a lie. And people are like, what? Wait a minute, hold on. I know when someone's lying. Wait, hold on. If I was to look at myself in the mirror every single day for 30 days and go, you are so ugly. You are so fat. You are so old. Guess what I'm going to look like in 30 days? Old, fat, and ugly. Because my mind could not tell the difference between a truth and a lie. Now, if I looked at myself in the mirror every single day and I said, wow, your eyes are so bright. You have such a gorgeous smile. You look so youthful. Guess what I'm going to look like in 30 days? I'm going to look youthful, bright eyes, beautiful smile. Your body, your mind cannot tell the difference between the truth and a lie. Your words matter, okay? When my son was going through his issues and we didn't have oils, we didn't know any of this stuff, I said things to him like, what's the matter with you? Why are you always doing this? There's something wrong with you. You're not normal. And then I put him in a mental health hospital for 2 weeks. He felt abandoned. He felt unloved. I'm going to try really hard not to cry right now. He was a train wreck. He had no self-esteem. He had no self-worth. He thought he was like, dog poop. His mother doesn't love him. We threw him in a mental health hospital. His father doesn't care about him. He just, constantly angry with him, right? He had absolutely no self-worth. So when I discovered emotions, I went, oh my goodness. You ever seen somebody who has chronic anger, I mean, we all know somebody who's chronically angry, right? I want you to imagine this huge field of tall grass. The first time a person gets angry, the very first time, it's as if you take a lawnmower and you cut down a path. The second time, you do the same thing. Go right down that same path. It creates this path in your brain, and that ridge, that groove becomes deeper, wider. Eventually, you're laying down pavement. You're erecting several lanes of traffic. You've got skyscrapers on both sides. Every single time you take that path, it just becomes it becomes habitual now. So the minute something irritates you or sets you off, boom, you're right down that anger path. Same path every single time. So here's something really cool. When your sense of smell triggers an emotional response first. All your other senses trigger a physical response first. Excuse me. If I snap my fingers, and if I was standing right next to you, you probably would blink. That's a physical response, okay? But if you walked into a room and you smelled the aroma of like cinnamon, your mind would probably, your whole body, your emotion would probably go, oh, Thanksgiving apple pie, grandma's apple pies. And you'd have all this emotion welled up in you. And then you'd have the physical response. Now I'm hungry, right? So your sense of smell first always triggers an emotional response. We can use that to our advantage. Have you guys ever heard neuroplasticity? We use this term a lot in people who've had strokes, like, they lose function of half their side of their face or whatever. You can retrain the brain to do those movements that they once knew how to do, but now they don't know how to do because there's a damaged part. Neuroplasticity connects parts of the brain to a new synapses, new pathway, and then you retrain yourself. So people who've lost, function of their limbs, if you can go around and retrain your brain to create a new pathway, you can once again, hopefully, use your limbs again. It just depends on how severe the physical damage is. But for emotional damage, if you've created that pathway of anger, all you have to do is use your sense of smell. It doesn't matter what oil, although there are books written about them that you can use specific oils for specific emotions. And I do highly recommend that book, Essential Oils. I don't remember the title of it. I have it over here. I'm sure somebody can type it out for me. I highly recommend that book. But it really doesn't matter what oil you use, as long as you use a very specific oil for that emotion. So let's say we're going to get rid of anger. The opposite of anger is laughter. Think that through. When was the last time you've been so angry you were about to hit rage? Could you actually laugh at that moment? No. If you were laughing so hard you're about to pee your pants because you're laughing so hard, are you going to get angry? No. Let's take it to another one. The opposite of fear. This happens a lot with people with anxiety. The opposite of fear is faith. If you have absolute faith that everything's going to work out just fine, you going to have fear? No. If you have so much fear, you're paralyzed, you can't move. Are you going to have faith that everything's going to be okay? No. Look for the opposites. So if we've just trained our brain, anger, 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 which was what my son did, anger, 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 we stopped it using oils. And our favorite one was Peace and Calming for him, Peace and Calming and frankincense. And I would have him smell that bottle and go, I am wanted and lovable. Now, the first time he said that out loud, he literally said, no, I'm not. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants me. And he kind of just threw the bottle and walked away. I made him do it several more times that day. He still didn't believe it. He still was like edgy and combative about it. By the end of the week, though, he said it for the first time, I am wanted and lovable, and didn't counteract it with negative words. We're making progress. By the end of 2 weeks, he said it, and I believed him when he said it. I could feel his heart energy, his energy in motion. Bill and I broke down in tears that day. I'm not going to lie. That was a massive tearjerker moment for us to realize that my son finally felt wanted and lovable. But here's the thing. We believed it too, because we said it with him every single time. I would look him in the eyes and say, Ezekiel, you are wanted and you are lovable. And then he'd repeat it. I am wanted and lovable. And by the end of that 2-week period, it was a game changer for us. My whole family, we had so much unity, so much love. We were feeling so great because we had started creating that new pathway. And it was the baby pathway. Don't take it for granted. It's still a baby path. It was still a baby pathway. It took us a few more weeks, a few more months, and now we're into 2 more years since that first day we did that. But that is now a super highway going this direction. We are no longer going down. anger pathway. We are now going down wanted and lovable pathway. And he doesn't hit anger ever, except for I say that, and then last night he got a little angry, but he is 18 years old, so whatever. It doesn't happen very often in our home anymore. Okay, so that's emotions, and I am passionate about emotions. Your words matter. It's energy and motion. Try and find that silver lining. Try to tell your kids all the time, I love you, I trust you. And you know what? That's hard. If you've got a kiddo like I had, who you really couldn't trust him with anything because he would try to hurt somebody at any moment, any day, I would preemptively say it. Instead of saying, you know, you've seen what they're doing, hey, I trust you, blah, blah, blah. Go in and go, hey, I know you got a big decision today, or I know you're going to do X, Y, Z today. I trust that you're going to make a good decision. Preemptively tell them that you trust them before the action occurs so that you're right. You're not lying. You're literally saying, I trust that you're going to make a good decision. And if they fail, they fail. Failing forward is an amazing thing. It's okay. But try to find times where you tell your children you're wanted, you're lovable, I trust you. Not easy to do when you're in the middle of with your kid, right? So look for those times. Okay. Step 6, I think. Dr. Carl Pfeiffer is an amazing doctor. I wish he was still alive. He did pass away several years ago, but he is an incredible doctor who literally pioneered and paved the path for curing mental health issues. He discovered very early on in all of his research, all of his studies, that mental health issues are nothing more than a serious and significant deficiency in vitamins and minerals. Serious and significant deficiency in vitamins and minerals. He said when he started treating the body with vitamins and minerals in not excess, but in abundance, because they were so depleted, all of his mental health patients corrected and became healed. And he focused on schizophrenia. Remember, I told you schizophrenia is probably one of the worst mental health conditions there is. And he would literally heal schizophrenia patients with vitamins and minerals. It's incredible. Hold on. When my kiddo was young, I'd feed him, food would go in, food would come out almost identical. I mean, you literally I could identify everything he ate. It did not go into his body. His body did not uptake any of the food I gave him. And I was trying my hardest to feed him a good, healthy diet. I could identify almost everything he ate. He just did not absorb any of the nutrients when he ate. So the first thing I did to correct that problem was I incorporated enzymes into his diet. That was huge. For him at the time, it was Mighty Zymes, and those are the chewable ones for kiddos. If they don't like them, find a way, put them in a smoothie, grind them up, mix them into anything, get them Mighty Zymes. And I don't follow the directions on the bottle. I never do. I give them what their body needs. You want your kid pooping a minimum of 2 to 3 times a day. It should come out very easily, not like diarrhea, but just like easy. They're not grunting, okay? It should float. Ideally, it should not smell. If you don't have that in any of our bodies, whether it's your body, your kid's body, or whatever, you've got to get them some enzymes and help them digest. If things are coming out too fast, still enzymes, because your body has got to absorb the nutrients from the food that they're eating. If you take one Mighty Zyme and mix it into a bowl of oatmeal, within seconds, it will completely liquefy that bowl of oatmeal, which means the body's now able to pull the vitamins, pull the nutrients from what they're eating. But even if your kiddo is eating an amazing organic diet and they love vegetables, Mom, please, more broccoli, I can't wait. Even if you have that kid, which please, if you do, let me know how you accomplish that. Even if you did, they still are deficient in vitamins and mineral, and even if they don't have a mental health issue, because our soils are so depleted from vitamins and minerals. The best soil, the best organic produce still does not provide your body enough vitamins and minerals to maintain a good, healthy mental health status. So we supplement, okay? You can't just take a supplement and go out and eat McDonald's, but you can supplement a good, organic, healthy, nutritious diet and have amazing mental health. So the supplements that my family absolutely, by the way, other enzymes that we use now that he's older, he loves essential zymes, and those are kind of horse pill, but you can put them in a blender and mix them up. You can crush them. Those are crushable enzymes. Essential zymes 4 are capsules, and you can pull those apart as well and mix them if you have to. He takes essential zymes 4 at every meal, and he takes essential zymes morning, the horse pill ones, morning and night. And that's pretty much all the enzymes he takes nowadays. But back when he was little, I would give him the Mighty Zymes because they were chewable. Okay, so vitamins and minerals for your kiddo. The first thing that we ever tried was multigreens. And the reason why I tried multigreens, first of all, it's a power packed, super green, nutrient dense capsule, which you can split apart and mix into something, but it has Melissa in there. Have you guys ever read your desk reference about Melissa? It literally says historically used for neurological disorders. And I went ding, 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 ding. That's code. I love historical fictions. Neurological disorders back in the way back time, whenever anybody had anything diagnosable, they didn't go back down to specific bipolar, ADHD, autism. I don't know if autism was back then, but schizophrenia. They didn't get that specific with diagnosis. They just called it a neurological disorder or a nervous disorder. You've heard that term thrown around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they said that Melissa was used for that historically back then. I'm like, if Melissa was used for that then, my son's getting Melissa. I could not afford the bottle of Melissa at that time. So I bought multigreens because it's infused in there. And it's tons of super dense, nutrient dense greens, which my son clearly needed because he was absorbing nothing. What a difference that made on his mental health right away. Still medicated, still cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that's the day, well, not the day, but that is the week that we went, I think we can start weaning him off his medication. Before that, we were increasing his medication every 2 weeks. That's why he got to the point of being medicated like a 300-pound man. Once we put in multigreens, we're like, we may not have to go up in a week. And we didn't. We never went up again after using multigreens, and we did not follow the directions on the bottle. I gave him, I think it was 3 capsules, morning, noon, and night, which I believe is 3 capsules in the morning, maybe in the evening, I don't know. But back then we did it morning, noon, and night. What a huge difference it did on his mental health. And your body will assimilate the vitamins and minerals so much more when they are infused with essential oils. If I was to just go to like GNC and grab a supplement off the shelf, I might absorb maybe 20, 30% of it over a week time. That's me taking it faithfully every single day for a week. I just pretty much eliminate it every time I go to the bathroom. But if you infuse your vitamins and minerals with essential oils, your body will assimilate that nutrients about 60% within the first hour. And then it goes up to about 86% or higher after 4 hours. So 1 dose of multigreens had him really, really good. And as far as mood wise, his mood was so like this before multigreens, and then multigreens, he started doing this. It was pretty big. The other thing that we brought in was mineral essence. Tastes terrible. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. It's disgusting, but it works. We put it in capsules. For my kids who can't swallow a capsule, I get their water bottle. And the first thing I do is I unscrew the cap, I fill it up with water, and I put 1 drop, not dropper, drop. Okay. And then I add orange oil, and then I shake it up, and then I hand them the water bottle. They don't even notice. Day 2, 2 drops. Day 3, 3 drops. And I get to the point where I can eventually squirt an entire thing in there. And now I can put 5 dropperfuls in their water bottle, and they don't know. So just sneak it in there. But mineral essence is phenomenal. And that's where the magic happens as far as mental health is concerned. Yes, we need vitamins, but oh my goodness, ionic minerals, holy moly. And this is a pure, natural, ionic source infused with essential oils, because if it didn't have essential oils in there, it'd just give you diarrhea. That's not fun. So because it has essential oils in there, no diarrhea, your body knows exactly what to do with it. And you're going to see all kinds of mental health issues just disappear. So that is hands down, those two supplements, as far as correcting on the cellular level, absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So just get really creative on how to get that mineral essence into your kiddos. I've known people who've rubbed it on their legs or on the bottom of their feet and then thrown socks on. It's sticky though, so I don't really like that. So I just said, kids, you're going to learn how to like this. We're going to flavor your water however you want. They love orange. They love tangerine. Great. Whatever it takes, but you need to have your mineral essence. So that's a good one. And I'm running out of time. So now we're going to take questions. I was going to tell you something about communication, but as a bonus, but I promise question and answers. So how do you want to handle that?
Any way you want. I'm trying to rapidly take notes and answer questions at the same time. I think I've answered most of them. Marilay, I saw that you asked what oil is in multigreens, which is Melissa. I think that's what you were asking about, which increases the absorption of the multigreens. If you do it without Melissa, I think it's around 46% in 24 hours. By adding Melissa to that supplement, Young Living saw that had an absorption of like, I think it's 86% in 1 hour. So drastic difference in absorption levels.
Yep. I'm sorry I talked fast. I had to get all that information in.
It was great. It's been amazing. What other questions do you guys have for Carrie? I think we've been answering as we go.
The book is Victorious Mother. It looks like this. It's natural remedies to help your child overcome mental health battle and win, or something like that. Natural remedies to help your child win the mental health battle. Sorry, I couldn't remember how to pronounce my own title.
You covered in that today, is that all in that book?
I would say you guys have gotten probably about 30% of what's in that book. There's so much more I want to tell you right now.
Even more. Awesome.
But you got my best tips. Like I hope by now, my goal was to give you the e-break, just stop the madness. And then I wanted you to really know what the core root of all mental health issues are, because I think it's a travesty when a lot of people are like, well, let's just medicate. Okay. Well, I mean, if you need to medicate, you need to medicate, but let's just, stop the symptoms. Wouldn't you rather just never have them again? So my goal in life is to just teach people, look, mental health issue is it's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the line. It's not a death sentence. It's not a forever sentence. In fact, it does not define you at all. Let's overcome this. And let me show you how. My son now, he's 18 years old. Yeah, he's still ADHD, meaning I still need to every once in a while apply an essential oil or maybe take a supplement that just kind of calms his mind down. But for the most part, he doesn't. He's still autistic a little bit, but you would never know. The only reason somebody would know is if you actually spend a significant amount of time with him. Like, you're just a tiny bit off, but not really. We've healed so much in that category, and he's absolutely not bipolar anymore. That is completely gone. It's been gone since he was 11 years old. By the time he was 11, because at 10 is when we got the oils for my daughter. And by the time he turned 11, he was off all of his medication. He was taking handfuls 4 times a day. So all of his medications completely gone. A lot of them were antipsychotic medications with the red labels on them. Completely done by the time he's 11. We were able to wean him off all those.
There are some new questions here, Carrie, that I'm catching here. Beverly's asking the current dosage of mineral essence that you give your kids. I know you said you went from a drop to like 5 droppers full, but what did you normally give them?
Depends on the size of the kid, and depends on the mental health issues too. So if I've got a kiddo who's acting kind of goofy and crazy, I try and give him as much mineral essence as possible because it calms the crazy. It's not a calming supplement. It's not like a lavender is very calming. It's just mineral essence just stops the mental health issues. So if my kid's starting to ping off, like a ping pong ball, I give him mineral essence. As far as the dosage, I try to teach and train all mothers, fathers too, to be a victorious mother. Learn your kid, learn to instinctively oil, instinctively use supplements, learn to know what's best for you and your kid. I might give my 2-year-old 3 or 4 dropperfuls, but I might give my 6-year-old 3 or 4 drops. I just know my kid. So try, and it's not going to harm you. This is what I love about natural products is it takes a lot to overdose. I mean, I would have to chug that entire bottle and I still think I'd be fine. So just use your instincts. I want to encourage all of you to just know. I've had people rip off the stopper of Frank and pour it on their kid's head. Kid was fine. Did they need to use that much? Probably not. But it worked, and that's what the mom felt like they needed to do at that moment. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. Just, you'll know. And I've been known to want to rip off the stopper too and pour on my kid's head. So just know your instinct. You are the best source for your kid. You are the best person to know what's best for you, for your child, more than any doctor, more than any other stranger, whatever. Trust your instincts. And then go slow if you're really concerned, just so that you know and see how they respond and go from there. If a dropper works, fantastic. That's awesome. You don't need to go up. If a dropper doesn't work, try 2 droppers. See what happens. That's what we did with CBD. I'm so glad we did. Because we just on a hunch went, well, we've moved this much on the needle. Let's see if we can move a little bit more. And we did.
Awesome. Okay. I have way more questions for you. They're piling in. I'm trying to catch them
Sorry.
all. No, you're good. Do you have any recommendations? I don't know if you have any experience with auditory processing disorders.
I do. And that's the communication thing I was telling you about. I don't know how fast I can go through that, but are we talking about just giving them oils, giving them supplements? What's the baseline question there?
that's the only thing that was in the chat. It was for Abigail. So I don't know if Abigail, if you want to ask.
I don't see her question.
It's you're probably way above. I'm like 28 above where the end is right now. Trying to catch them all.
I'm sorry.
Is it in your book? Do you talk about it in your book?
I do talk about communication. I'm trying to understand the question. Are we trying to have proper communication with the child? If that's the question, I've got an entire chapter on communication.
Okay, that would be my guess, but I don't know if Abigail wants to speak up. And I'll get to the bottom of the chat. You might have answered the question. I'm just trying to keep track here. Yes, I will send notes out to people. I had a question, can you get multi-greens in South Africa? So next year, you're going to start to see way more of the supplements enter South Africa. In the meantime, we can't ship directly from the US catalog. You can order a lot of US products directly to South Africa, but not supplements right now. They're locked down. But if you have some in the US, you can order to them and have them shipped to you. That is an option. Okay. Let's see.
While you're finding the next one, Samantha Joy Jacobs. Yes, CBD will help with seizures for sure.
Yeah. Frank is a great one for seizures too. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
You can see CBD and Frank, they're like the best friends. Okay, is the book available in South Africa? I saw it on Amazon. Do you have an ebook version?
We have an ebook, but it's in the UK. So if you go to victoriousmother.com, I have at the bottom all of the Amazon links. It should be able to be shipped everywhere but Australia, but Australia just got a large shipment in.
Message it to me and I'll send it out to all the groups. Okay, I'll send that out to everyone. I see a boy who cries a lot. Any recommendations for my go-to is Valor for kids who are crying all the time. I don't know about you, Carrie.
I agree. I love Valor. The first time we put Valor on my kiddo, because he was at the moment at the peak of his bipolar, it made him a little too courageous that day, but he's since chilled out since then, and we can use Valor on him just fine. That's why when I was telling you in the beginning, sometimes you can have that opposite reaction with an essential oil, but frankincense never does that. So I always start with frankincense and then we slowly add in the rest of them, but he can oil with anything now. I love Valor, but you know what, even frankincense for crying, you just need to lift that mood. So why is the crying? Are we sad? Or are we crying because we're overwhelmed and that's anxiety? Either way, you just need to lift the mood, bring in the joy, bring whatever it takes. And if you're concerned about putting them on them at first, use the diffuser. Use the diffuser, get him playing, and then just diffuse right next to them. 20 minutes, you should start to see a major attitude adjustment there.
Yeah, and in relation to that, Shelly, your question was the sunshine in the bottle. That was frankincense and lemon, and Carrie said, however many drops you think. A child who battles to fall asleep and taking too much time. I have a commentary on melatonin. I love it when needed, but the more you take of it, the less melatonin your body produces. So you really have to be careful about not taking it too much. So I like to use it as a stopgap to like get things under control and then back way off and then get off of it. Personally, that is my research.
I agree.
You agree?
I do.
So, I mean, for me, like the same oils I use for an ADHD kid are like vetiver. Vetiver is amazing. Valerian is amazing. Rutavala, all of those like super duper calming ones are the ones I go to for sleep. And then for sure, magnesium. I think Ronley, I think you're in South Africa, so you don't have Unwind yet, but any good magnesium supplements. I know in your health food stores, you guys have the liquid spray magnesium. That's a great option to spray on the bottom of the feet. I used to buy that before we had this new option. Let's see here. Other questions. Lots of comments.
So they can't get supplements there?
No, they don't have supplements yet. I think Kim had a, sorry, Kim, you had a question.
No, I'm just saying I ordered supplements. They came in fine.
They did come in recently since the lockdown.
Yep, I got it on Monday.
Fantastic. They must have opened them back.
So did Claudine. So they're coming in. We're in level 3 now. It's much easier.
Okay, fantastic. So you can order all the supplements from the US now. That is great news. ImmuPro, guys, it's just awesome. Like I love that one for like if you really need to get a kid rejiggered on their sleep schedule. It's fantastic.
I really like the question from Alice on, did you work with your doctor on weaning him off the meds? Yes and no. So in the beginning, we told him what we were doing and he was noticing that we weren't upping his medication. So he was okay with us taking him off of the kind of the lighter medication, the sleep medication, the ADHD medication, things like that. But when we're like talking about taking him off the mood stabilizers, he's like, not happening. And he got really mad and he started to threaten calling CPS medical neglect. He accidentally passed away, had nothing to do with it. He got into a car accident. And so we just found a new doctor and went on our merry way and got him off of all his meds. I had nothing to do with that, I promise.
I do have to laugh. That was horrible.
It's horrible. It's terrible. But he wasn't willing to work with us, and a lot of doctors aren't. And so it just worked out that we were able to continue to wean him off. And by the way, if you're going to wean off medications, you've got to focus on your liver. You've got to, or you'll start to have withdrawals.
You guys have, there's, in the US, we have Juvaflex and GLF, which are really targeted towards liver detox. In South Africa, you have helichrysum and all the citrus oils. I would start there. And multigreens, by the way, multigreens is an awesome detox too. And Ningxia Red, which you do have as well. All those. PCOS, do you want to address PCOS and depression? I have my commentary on that for sure.
As far as depression, go ahead with PCOS. I'm not too familiar. Isn't that hormonal stuff?
Yeah, PCOS is like, you've got to get your hands on Progestins Plus, and you can order that from the States if you're in South Africa. I know there's plans to bring it there, but it is worth the minimal price to have it shipped to you. It just came back in stock, like right now, just now. It just came back in stock. It is a game changer for anything related to the ovaries and uterus post a girl's cycle. It's only for women, and it's only once they start having a cycle, and it's just amazing, amazing, amazing. And I think that if you start to regulate the hormones that way, you'll probably see her mood lift too. But I would go to that sunshine in the bottle recipe, or sunshine in the capsule recipe too, or valor, or stress away. So many options. Peace and calming. Need some specifics on type of enzyme and ionic mineral. Okay, well, you can get on the Young Living website, and you can get all the ingredients in every product that we have. So hopefully, I think it's Zeta or Zaida that asked that question, or just reach out to us directly. Good question from Julie. Did you catch that one? Julie Burns, did you find that removing toxic products in your house helped with this too?
Absolutely, because toxins obviously made things worse. But I wish I could say just fixing his diet and he was healed. It didn't happen. Just getting all the toxins out ever happened and he was healed. It didn't happen. Where it happened is when I got into the cellular level of his body and started infusing his body with vitamins and minerals. That's when we started to see the mental health issues go away. Between that supplementation of vitamins, minerals, and then CBD, that's when we started to see healing on the true cellular level. So I would love, I wish it was so simple, but it's certainly, I can tell you, if I start bringing in yucky diet again, he doesn't necessarily spiral, but he certainly isn't good. He starts to just kind of, have off days. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So we don't eat a perfectly healthy diet. He's been known to sneak a chocolate here and there. I've seen him, but for the most part, he eats a pretty decent diet, and that makes a big difference. Same with, we don't have any toxic chemicals in our home anymore. We were able to throw away all the medication. I was terrified. If we missed the medication, someone was going to get hurt. So yeah, it was, I'm glad that we have none of that in our house anymore. Not a single over-the-counter product except for Young Living's. No medication, nothing. So there's somebody else I wanted to answer up here, and I can't remember where it was.
There's a non-verbal question.
That's one.
And I don't know if I heard Gary tell the most amazing story. I spent a week with him at Winter Harvest about digize under the tongue. Did you hear that too, Carrie?
Well, he said at convention, did you hear him? He said, if my kid had vaccines, I'd give him a capsule of Digest every single day for the rest of his life. And I'm like, okay, write that down. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It dissolves all toxic chemicals. Yeah. Like in turn soil into an organic soil just with one application. So yeah, Digest is huge.
If you can, a big one under the tongue, it's amazing. Sublingual, anything sublingual is the fastest way to get it in your body.
Yep.
Teresa, I got your message. Yes, I'll send Kara the information. CBD, Carmen's saying helps so much with pain management with the knees. Yes, just everything. So good for everything.
All these remedies will be good for autistic adults because my husband is ADHD severe, and he's fully vaccinated because he was in the military, and we believe he's got little autistic tendencies. He's had so much help just from all these things. Everything we've done for my son, we've done for myself, we've done for my husband and many other people. It's not age specific. It's not diagnosis specific. It's not age specific. It's just human body specific. And all of us can benefit from vitamins, minerals, supplementation of any kind. So really it's just taking really good care of your body.
Just as a sidebar, we haven't really talked about vaccines, and I don't really want to get into a debate on this call, but just know that all vaccines have heavy metals in them. That is what carries them through the body. So that is why this keeps coming back. So as you get into this world, you'll start hearing more and more about heavy metals and detoxing heavy metals. It's just, they all have them. Aluminum, demersal, formaldehyde, lots of things. Okay, keep scrolling. Did you catch any, Carrie, that I haven't caught yet? I'm just trying to get through all of these.
How do I apply frankincense to toddlers as they're running by? I swipe the back of their neck, or I just drop it as they're running past. Across the forehead, behind the ears, on the wrist, down their spine, wherever. I mean, I've literally had a kid going, I need oil. Where do you want it? On my knee. Okay, you're gonna get it on your knee today. It doesn't matter. Just get it on them, or get it in the diffuser. So there's no right or wrong way. If it's a hot oil, I forgot that there's people here who are not super oilers like me, but if it's a hot oil, you're going to need to dilute. But other than that, frankincense is such a gentle one. I've never diluted it. In fact, when my babies are born, first thing that goes all over them, frankincense and myrrh, no dilution.
Yes. Okay. So back to the auditory processing, like a suggestion of when a kid hears something and it takes a while for them to like, my son is like this. I have a kiddo like this. So you're speaking my language for, I have a very ADHD child who's extremely bright, but like you give him a command. So I noticed vetiver is really good. There's a blend called Genius that's in the US that I really find is really awesome for him too. The CBD Calm roll-on actually is a really good one. I roll it on I tend to roll all these on the brainstem. And Jared, I saw a question about the smell of some of these. So if you don't like the smell, you can just apply to the bottom of the feet to get into the bloodstream, but the tip of the big toe is actually correlated to the brain. If you can target it, if you can get to that part easily. I used to just have to grab a foot and roll fast. So I couldn't aim always as well as I wanted to. I don't know if you have any more tips on that, Carrie.
Well, this has nothing to do with oils, but for kiddos who have processing issues, mine does. He's a very, very slow processor. Off the charts genius, but processing is like massively delayed. So here's my most favorite tip here, non-oily related. I literally will walk into the room and say, Ezekiel, I'm about to tell you it's time to clean your room. Are you ready? And he kind of goes, fine. Ezekiel, it's time to clean your room. You announce your intentions ahead of time. You're going to look like an idiot. You're going to feel like an idiot, but it is the best thing you could ever do to a kid who has a processing disorder or a processing issue. They need warning, and I love it. He loves it. It helps him so much. It's one of those ones that just saves lives. Ezekiel, we're about to get in the car and go to the store. And usually I say, Ezekiel, I'm about to tell you it's time to get in the car and go to the store. Are you ready for me to tell you? And like massive pause, because he has to replay that whole sentence back in his mind. And he goes, okay, I'm ready. Ezekiel, get in the car. It's time to go to the store.
That's awesome. I've also been told touch is really good. So if I need something for my son, I can't say it across the room. I have to touch him. And I sing a lot. So I'll say, it's time to get in the car. It's time to get in the car. It's time to get, like whatever. I just make up a song. And then he'll start singing.
I love it.
In the car. Oh, okay, in the car.
I love it.
That's
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I can't have a better voice.
It's their love language. It's how you speak. And I liken it to, like, if your beloved speaks German, are you going to speak to them in French? No, you're not. You're going to speak to them in German. You're going to speak their language. Or if you have a kiddo who processes slow, give them time to process. It's so hard when we just rapid fire. Like if you're talking like me to my kiddo, his head would explode. Because I do talk fast, so I have to give him warning.
Exactly. I am 96 messages behind here. Okay, I can't even scroll fast enough. 2-year-old who doesn't speak much, gets up in the middle of the night, spins for long periods of time. That screams detox to me, but I don't know.
I would agree with the detox. And then traditional Chinese medicine, start looking at the time. If it's the same time every single night, I bet you there's an organ correlation. Just Google traditional Chinese medicine, time of night, and start focusing on that organ. Vetiver was for calming down and focus.
Okay, I'm at the 2 p.m. mark on I'm still scrolling.
Oh, I'm at the 12 p.m. Sorry. Well, maybe it's different because we're in different time zones. Okay, so I gave CBD as young as a year and a half because my kiddo would not fall asleep, and I'm like, here's a drop, and he slept, and I'm like, yay, you're sleeping through the night.
Awesome.
And I don't know if you can, but we all have an endocannabinoid system, so I'm like, we have it. Why not? And it's Young Living. I trust it. Something y'all need to know: if you can't get CBD from Young Living, CBD is a cleaner plant. They actually plant CBD into the fields to pull like mercury, to pull radioactive material out of the ground. Be careful where you get your CBD, or you could be putting more toxic chemicals into your body than no, don't do that. So make sure your CBD is pure.
CBD, South Africa gets CBD starting this Saturday.
Yay! Oh my gosh, that's awesome, you guys.
Super, super exciting. Okay.
Yes, you can give a kid a capsule of frankincense. I've done it many times. It's just whether or not they can swallow a capsule. Tantrums for 3-year-olds, try frankincense. Start with Frank, and then all the other ones that we've mentioned, but start with Frank.
100%. 100%.
Yep, judges. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Think calming oils. Remember, obsessive compulsive disorder is kind of like that feeling like I gotta do this, I gotta do this, you know, that almost like pinging. Calm things down, slow everything down. So think anything that brings calm. Keep in mind, you might need to fight fire with fire. So if they're pinging, you might need an oil that's stimulating to calm them down. Just depends on if they're going to be opposite, kind of personality. If I give my husband a nitro, he calms way down and he's super focused. If I give myself a nitro, I'm like, woohoo, let's go. So it just depends on their personality. But in general, I would go with calming oils. If you find calming oils, ramp them up more, go with stimulating oils.
Yes. I see sensory, this awesome from Carmen. I love this. A sensory brushing arouses all the senses used with oils and weighted blankets to help with sleep. I use a weighted blanket for my son. I love it. I love weighted blankets. Liver and gallbladder. There's actually a specific oil called GLF, gallbladder liver function, that is amazing. Mm-hmm. My mom had been diagnosed with some kind of her liver levels were off, and they ran all kinds of Western tests on her, tests. I ran my oil machine, my iTovi on her, and the first thing that came up with was GLF, after she had told me that something was off with her liver, which was, clearly it was agreeing with what the Western medicine said. We did GLF in a capsule for a month for her. She went back for tests and her liver was perfect. So huge fan of GLF and Juvaflex. They're both awesome. You agree, Carrie? You have
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any comments.
We use Juvacleanse. Can you get Juvacleanse as well in South Africa?
They can order from the US. They don't have any of those yet in Africa. I'm guessing that they'll get at least 1 or 2 of them. Is it better to swallow a capsule or under the tongue in terms of absorption? Always under the tongue is better for absorption. But yeah.
The only faster way to do that is rectally, and most people don't like talking about that.
True. That is true. And listen, I got pneumonia from my daughter who had black mold in her room. Long story, but man, that was a go-to. And pooping Christmas trees, didn't care. It worked.
That's right.
It worked.
Right.
It worked.
So Juvacleanse, we used to take a capsule a day till the bottle was gone, and then I would do that. Because my son was so heavily medicated, they used to have to test his blood every single month to see if his liver was shutting down, and it was. And we're like, we've got a couple more years before his liver's completely kaput. So once we got him off his medications, then I started using Juvacleanse because it pulls so much heavy metals out of the body. That's really important for autism. And then it does a phenomenal job at cleansing the liver. So I would give him a capsule a day until the bottle was gone. And then I'd take a break, and then I would do it again until I got the results I was looking for. You store anger in your liver, and so you'll notice a massive mood change the cleaner your liver is. So if you've got an angry kiddo, start cleansing that liver, and you should start to have happy, joyful kiddo again. Keep in mind, though, you never cleanse your liver ever unless you're pooping 2 to 3 times a day. If you are not pooping and you start cleansing your liver, you're going to back up so bad with all the toxins in there to circulate in your body. You don't want that. Get your body pooping. I'm a huge advocate of talking about poop. I could do this all day long. So that's why we use the enzymes. It's just to get things moving. You need to have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. That's every person. And I got people who are like, I haven't pooped in 2 weeks. I'm like, girl, that is not good. I tell my kids all the time, it's like a car wash. Food goes in, it has to come out. If it doesn't come out, where's it going? Why is it staying there? The average American has 20 pounds of fecal matter lodged in their gut. Ugh, that's disgusting, you guys. Food goes in, it has to come out, okay? Every time you eat,
Yes,
you should be pooping.
absolutely. And if you're really backed up, one of my favorite supplements is Comfort Tone. I use that when I travel because I have a really hard time, like when I travel to Africa, it's a long flight and I can't go in a hurry, I need time. So that is my favorite. Where do you get the oil? So I should have said this. Whoever invited you to this call will help you get started. Please, please, please reach out to the person who invited you to this call so they can plug you into resources and get you help and take care of you with all of your oily questions and support. Let's see. I think I've answered all of that. Everyone wants this call again. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What machine do you use? There's something called an iTovi, and I'm happy to answer questions for you on that if you want to reach out separately on that. Hypothyroid issues, I could talk about that all day, but let's save that for another call. And then Sia, please reach out to me through whoever you know. That is my personal story. So I know a lot about hypothyroidism. I was actually diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It's gone now. All of it's gone now. So, okay. Okay, I'm going to copy that email. I think.
So suppository, you just make a capsule and you shove it on up there
Yep.
and retain it.
Yep.
Or you can make like a coconut oil suppository that just dissolves. But I have done that. Or you could just put it in a syringe and gently insert and syringe it in there. I do that for my babies a lot. Rectal is not my favorite, but it works.
And then coat it with coconut oil. So it's like, yeah.
It's not the most pleasant thing, but it is fast, especially if you have a respiratory illness. Going rectally with respiratory, that's what she was saying about pneumonia.
Yes.
It just knocks it out really quickly.
Exactly.
But so if you do under the tongue, you could put frankincense and lemon under your tongue. And if you did like 3 or 4 drops, 2 of each maybe, it's like the equivalent of filling up a capsule. However, if you have to do it often, all essential oils can become like, they're kind of astringent to your skin, so they can start to dry out your skin. That's as if you're using them in the same location every single day for weeks and weeks and weeks. Okay. Not talking about just like, oh, I'm oiling right here, right now, and it's fine. But just keep that in mind. So your skin can eventually, over extended periods of time, become a little sensitive to repetition oiling in one area. I don't want to scare anybody because it has yet to happen to me in 7.5 years. And I oil all the time on my neck and I'm fine. But keep it in mind because it can happen to you depending on how sensitive your skin is. So that being said, if you're going to do under the tongue often, you might need to add a little dilution to it just so it absorbs a little faster. When you use it with a carrier oil, it absorbs a little bit quicker. And to kind of soften or I guess slow down the absorption rate. But I drop neat all the time and I have never diluted it, but I throw that out there just in case you're one of those people that does need dilution. It's faster. It's more economical to do it under your tongue. No essential oil tastes good though. So I put it in a capsule.
So Carrie, I want to be really respectful of your time, and I know